I just wanted Stuart to go outside and publish his book. And as I go out to the mailbox, I find Elgar's out here doing gardening in a very natural way. And it's not creepy at all that Elgar's is just standing there waiting for Stuart to come back into the asylum in his still very natural way. Stuart having a drink of inspiration potion, but maybe needs a drink of something a bit different to be able to deal with this. And then he's going to go back to writing his book. And while these two are down here being just typical residents of the asylum, what is Susan up to? Susan is upstairs tending to her grubs in a very natural way. And that's kind of a nice little snapshot of what a day in the life is like in the asylum. We return to Stuart's story today and find him working through the third milestone of his aspiration. If he could actually stay focused and stop getting burnt out all the time, he can maybe get there a little faster. That said, he's giving it his best effort, which actually isn't saying very much at all. Stuart had reached level 6 of the writing skill, which had checked off one part of this stage of his aspiration. He had published 6 out of 10 books, and 3 of those were excellent, which meant he just had to get 2 more to excellent quality and publish 4 more books. Stuart, of course, kept getting burned out and kept wanting to dance instead of actually do work on his aspiration. Dancing is something Stuart likes to do, despite the fact that watching him dance is just really quite a painful experience. However, the dancing did help a little bit with the tension, and it helped enough that Stuart managed to complete 5 out of 5 excellent books. Now all he had to do was publish a couple more, and then he would be done with the third milestone of his aspiration, taking him to the final milestone. But still, Stuart was dancing when he should be working, stopping what he was doing to go dancing, and it was starting to get just a little bit annoying. It wouldn't be so bad if he didn't actually think that he was good at it, but that's just the sort of person that Stuart is. Completely oblivious, and very much living up to his socially awkward character trait. Eventually, Stuart did complete the third milestone of his aspiration, and he began work on the fourth milestone. For the fourth milestone, he would have to max the writing skill, of which he was already at level 8, complete 3 bestsellers, and earn 25,000 simoleons in royalties. Unfortunately, however, the excitement of reaching his third milestone once more left Stuart feeling burned out. And as much as I would like to say that he's done a lot of work to come this far, and maybe being burned out is fair enough, this is not the first time that Stuart has been burned out. In fact, Stuart had his first burnout during the first milestone of his aspiration. For an ambitious sim, this seems kind of contradictory. And just to prove my point, here we see Stuart feeling doubly tense. One moodlet because he's burned out, and another because he's an ambitious sim who feels like he's not achieving anything. Feeling stressed because he's not working, and feeling stressed because he feels like he's working too much. It's interesting how close and accurate to real life this portrayal of Stuart actually is. After regaining some sense of positivity, mostly from socialising with Susan unfortunately, Stuart did start to make some headway. He completed 1 bestseller, and he had earned 5 out of 25,000 simoleons in royalties. Several more little chats with Susan later, and after drinking way more inspiration potion than any one sim probably ever should, Stuart finally reached level 9 of the writing skill and had completed 2 bestsellers. He was so close now, the end was in sight. Pretty soon he would be able to leave the asylum. If he could tear himself away from Susan long enough to actually go, of course. and tearing himself away from Susan was proving even more difficult than we might have hoped, when he kept lining up things like "sing to Susan," which he takes himself all the way downstairs and proceeds to do.
Maisie Grove, Grey Bell, Maisie Grove, Grey Bell.
And Susan looks happy about it. The morning rolled around, and it was just a case of waiting for Stuart's royalties to pay for the day, because given how close he was to achieving his goal, surely when his royalties paid for the day, he would have achieved it today, and he can finally leave the asylum. And just like that, Stuart's royalties paid in, and he's not quite there. This means Stuart will have to stay in the asylum for one more day, but as he sits himself down next to Susan and starts talking some absolute nonsense to her, I'm pretty sure that's something that he's actually happy about. And it's the following morning, and this time there's no excuse. When his royalties pay, he will complete his aspiration and be able to leave the asylum. He's in an appropriately flirty mood, chatting to Elgar somewhere as we await the payment. And Stuart has apparently lined up flirting with Elgars, despite the fact that they are enemies and have done nothing but fight with each other. And although he seems to like it at first, Elgars quickly rebuffs Stuart. But on the plus side, Stuart has now achieved his aspiration, and he can leave the asylum, leaving behind the embarrassment of this failed flirtation attempt, and leaving behind his beloved Susan. And now that Stuart has completed his aspiration, that is inmate number 6 completed and leaving the asylum, leaving behind just 2 inmates. And it's the worst, too. I don't think it takes a rocket science to figure out which sim I'll be playing with next. But we'll leave the surprise for the next episode anyway. Not that it's much of a surprise. Join us next time as we pick up a new story and we get one step closer to completing this asylum challenge. Thanks for watching. It's a nightmare trying to get Stuart to write anything because he keeps getting distracted by Susan. He keeps autonomously queuing up to go and speak to her, and there you can see he's just stopped writing and taken off his clothes and gone happily marching outside. So what exactly is he coming out here to do? Because I see he's already autonomously lined up to do something else with Susan again. And Susan is standing right there, and he is just, I assume, shouting in the rain while she stands really uncomfortably close to him and watches him in a really, really strange way. Yeah, sometimes the best things that happen in this game are the things that just happen when you turn on full autonomy and just let the Sims do their thing.
Charm.
Alexa!